Welcome back to Crisco's Corner, unfiltered commentary, not your truth, the real truth. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back. I feel a little bit weird talking about this. It's about the Buffalo shooter that shot up the tops of a grocery store in Buffalo, and he targeted non-white people. It's strange because it's from my hometown. I live in Binghamton, New York. It shows in all the news that this kid lived in Conklin. Now, Conklin, New York, it borders Binghamton. I've been to Conklin a million times. I have a lot of family in Conklin. I have cousins there. I go to Conklin quite often. But the really creepy part about this is I saw this guy's picture, kid, I'll say, and I remember him. He came into my store. I remember his face. Now, I sold my store last spring. He's got one of those baby faces. It's really weird. When I was a politician, I was really crappy on remembering people's names, but I never forgot a face. And I seen this kid, and it's a little surreal. Let's talk. And I did some calling around my local contacts here in the Binghamton area concerning what happened before this kid went to Buffalo. And it's a little unnerving. And this is from WBNG. That's the local CBS affiliate here in Binghamton. Buffalo supermarket shooter threatened high school shooting. The suspect allegedly sought out a black neighborhood. Buffalo, a white 18-year-old fatally shot 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket, researched the local demographics, and arrived a day in advance, trying to kill as many black people as possible. The racial motivated attack came a year after a gunman was taken to a hospital by state police after making threats involving his high school. And he was. I will go in a little bit more detail on what happened, what I was able to find out through local people. He wasn't charged with a crime when he was out of the hospital within a day and a half, police said. But the revelation raised questions about his access to weapons and whether he could have been under closer supervision by law enforcement. Now, I can't confirm or deny that this kid bought a firearm legally. Because my understanding is once he did that, now that they take it off, I can't get this confirmed. Do they take it off because he was a minor and now he's not? I don't know. It's very much like sealing a minor's criminal record. I don't know. There should have been a red flag up immediately. He should have been put on the list. So now what's going to happen is the Democrats, Joe Biden and all that clan, is going, including Hochul. I live in New York, obviously, so she wants all the flags at half-mast. And we have one of the strictest gun control laws in the country. Maryland's really bad. California's really bad. Illinois is really bad. And the cities have their own. You can get a shotgun up here. I live in upstate New York, way away from New York City, thank God. But this isn't about gun control. It's about the safeguards that were put into place to protect people. And that's the problem. Why did this kid get a gun? Did he steal it? So the most strictest gun control laws in the world will not prevent somebody from taking a gun or buying one unlawfully. Did this kid buy one legally? I can't get anything confirmed. Nobody wants to talk. It's nobody wants to take responsibility. Is it the federal government's issue? Is it local law enforcement, i.e. the county district attorney? I really don't know. The Buffalo attack prompted grief and anger in the predominantly black neighborhood. Yeah, of course. And Biden's going there. And here's the funny part. Joe Biden, when Kenosha was in flames and people were being killed all over the place, they asked Psaki, I think it was Peter Dooley from Fox, why isn't the president going there? And she said, the problem is when a president goes to a municipality, it's a huge drain on their resources. Well, maybe because all the people that were shot in Kenosha were white. Even though they said they were black for a long time and millions of people believed that they were all white. This kid sought out non-white people to shoot right up the Democrats and Joe Biden's alley. So he can blame Republicans and the ultra mega. It's disgusting. Speaking of the National Peace Officers Memorial, the individual that was shot that was a security guard was a retired cop. Rest his soul, and all the people that got shot. I believe it was an 86-year-old woman as well that just came from visiting her husband in the nursing home. The White House later announced that the President and the First Lady would travel to Buffalo on Tuesday to grieve with the community. Never let a crisis go to waste. I think it's disgusting. I think it's despicable. The Buffalo attack was the deadliest of multiple shootings across the country in recent days. Officials in Milwaukee imposed a curfew after 21 people were injured in 3 separate shootings near an entertainment district where thousands gathered Friday for an NBA playoff game. 3 other shootings over the weekend in the Midwest city left 3 people dead. There was over 40 shooting incidents in Chicago over the weekend, if I'm remembering correctly. On Sunday, 2 shootings, one is a Houston flea market, and another at a California church, that 3 people dead and others wounded. I believe one was an Asian gentleman, and they got him. I believe that was the California one. As the country reeled from the Buffalo attack, new details emerged about the gunman's past, which the shooter live streamed on Twitch. Now, they won't show it. No, even if I had it, I wouldn't show it. I guess for a short time it was on Twitch Live, and then Twitch, of course, media took it down. New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Now, she's from Buffalo, so, a Buffalo native demanded technology companies tell her whether they're done everything humanly possible to make sure they're monitoring violent content as soon as it appears. My understanding was he live streamed for less than 2 minutes. If not, I'm going to hold you responsible. Responsible for what? Responsible for what? Twitch said in a statement that it ended the transmission less than 2 minutes after the attack, like I said. Troopers were called in. He gave up in the foyer of the grocery store. He shot people in the parking lot as well as inside. Now, I won't say the person's name. He threatened to carry out a shooting at Susquehanna Valley High School in Conklin. That's right next door to where I live. It might as well be the same town. It's more of a rural community. Not much retail. There's an old school grocery store there. Has been family run for 40, 50 years. A few gas stations, some commercial buildings. But there's very little heavy retail there. So having people come from Conklin to Binghamton, where I live, because it borders it, is not unusual at all. And I remember this kid's face. He came into my store several times. I don't remember if he bought anything or brought back bottles and cans. I'm not sure. But anyway, Susquehanna Valley High School is just a high school right next to the city of Binghamton. Around the time of graduation, he threatened to, I think it was either blow up or shoot up the graduation ceremony. A law enforcement official spoke in the kitchen in a minute. He said the official was not authorized to speak publicly. Buffalo Police Commissioner said this individual had no further contact with law enforcement after his release from the hospital. A day and a half after he threatened his graduation in his own school, his own high school. A day and a half, a psych eval, and this kid walked. Why wasn't he monitored after that? Why wasn't every 30-odd days, even 2 weeks, has to come in to talk for counselor or whatever to see if this kid was getting worse? Federal law bars people from owning a gun if a judge has determined it was a mental defect or have been forced into a mental institution, but an evaluation alone would not trigger the prohibition. It's amazing to me that with these red flag laws, this kid didn't get a prohibition from buying a firearm if he bought one, but say you wanted to apply for a license in New York State. Well, they'll track down everybody you've ever known, including an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife. And all she has to say, or an ex-husband has to say, oh, my ex is a nut bar. Don't give him a license for a firearm. He's crazy. She's crazy. Can't get in trouble because that's just your opinion. And then it takes months, sometimes years, for this individual to get a license. But if you go for a psych eval after threatening to kill your fellow students, it doesn't trigger a prohibition. The problem is, though, the reason why probably it doesn't, there's so many false red flags that come up. There has to be a way to fix that. There has to be. Federal authorities are still working to confirm the authenticity of a 180-page document reportedly written by this individual who detailed his plans for the attack and reasons for carrying it out. Oh, God. A preliminary investigation found he repeatedly visited sites espousing white supremacist ideology and race-based conspiracy theories. That's no different than the black supremacists, and that's the problem. This is going to be twisted around to say conservatives and their lax gun laws. That's the problem. The ultra MAGA people, they're the racists. He extensively researched a 2019 mass shooting in New Zealand and the man who killed dozens at a summer camp in Norway in 2011 because they went to the person's home, I should say his parents' house, and confiscated a whole bunch of computers and cell phones or whatever the FBI did. But federal agents searched multiple search warrants and interviewed his parents who were cooperating with investigators. I mean, I'd like to be the parents of this kid. I don't think it's their fault at all. And supposedly at one point during the video that was broadcast on Twitch, he trains his weapon on a white person covering behind the counter, but says sorry and doesn't shoot. Screenshots purporting to be from the broadcast appear to show a racial slur targeting black people scrawled in his rifle, as well as number 14, likely referring to a white supremacist slogan. If he's not mentally ill, he's got a serious issue. Now, when I ask my governor, who got to be governor unelected because Andrew Cuomo resigned, why is there no death penalty in New York State? If there's anything that requires a death penalty, this certainly is it. The lengthy statement contributed to him outlined a racial ideology rooted in belief the United States should belong only to white people. All others documents said were replacers. The kid's just nuts. He's twisted. But is he crazy enough not to stand trial? The attack was intended to eliminate all non-white, non-Christian people. Well, there's a lot of white people that are non-Christian. Oh, gosh. He searched demographics in the area to see who there would be the most white people. He traveled 200 miles from his home in Conklin. Conklin is very, very south of upstate New York. We're here in Binghamton. We're right above the PA border, right in the center of upstate New York. Anybody that knows the map at all, Syracuse is in the center of upstate. And Scranton, Pennsylvania is basically in the center of Pennsylvania. And if you drew a line from Syracuse to Scranton, it basically goes right through Binghamton and Conklin, about maybe 8-10 miles above the Pennsylvania border. Why he went all that way? I don't know. You know, I'm not saying that I'm glad it was people in Buffalo, but he could have very easily done it here. We have a pretty decent-sized non-white community, especially around my store, my business. So thank God that didn't happen. But this is weird as hell because I know this kid. He surrendered to police in a vestibule when they urged him to drop his rifle. This is the kid here. I know this kid. He's coming to my store before. Oh, God. Let's check Fox News. Buffalo shooting suspect had plans to continue his attack. Oh, I'm sure he did on paper. We have uncovered information that if he escaped the supermarket, he plans to continue his attack. Of course he would. He had plans to possibly go to another store or location. Development comes as President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are preparing to travel to Buffalo. Well, I think that was a drain on local resources. Why? Because this kid's a nut bar white supremacist, at least in his mind. He's twisted. It's untenable. But it's the black-white ideology fixed at BLM and all the Democrats pull. I hate to say this, but it's true. The Democrats live for this stuff. Not that they wish it to happen. It's not what I mean. What is the old chief of staff to Barack Obama, who used to be mayor of Chicago, Ron Emanuel? Never let a crisis go to waste. Unbelievable. 11 of the victims were black, while the remaining 2 victims were white. Attorney General Merrick Garland said on Sunday that the Department of Justice is investigating hate crime and an act of racially motivated violent extremism. And what they're going to do, they're going to say, we're going to expand going after extremists. And who they'll go after? Parents that go to school board meetings and are pissed off. After he said under oath that wasn't happening, we found out that it was. Was he under oath? And even if he was, so what? Nothing will happen to him. Individual was charged of first-degree murder and was ordered held without bail until after pleading not guilty. I'm sure he got a public defender, and you always plead not guilty. It's really creepy for me because this kid's from my hometown, and I know that I've seen him around before in my business in the past. It hits a little close to home. And I just thank God that it wasn't here locally. And not that I will say I wish those people in Buffalo were gone. We have enough problems in this community as it is without that. And I'm sure Buffalo is reeling from it as well. So I don't want what I said to be taken out of context. You shake your head and all wonder at the evil in the world. This has nothing to do with gun laws. This has nothing to do with Republicans. This has nothing to do with conservative people. Nothing. The extremists on each side of the political aisle, if you want to call it that, are a very tiny percent, especially in the conservative side. On the leftist progressive side, a much higher percent are brainwashed nut bars. Now, would they do this? No, they wouldn't. This is one of those things that happen that you just have to say, God, why did you allow this to happen? We'll never know. We'll never know why it happened, how this kid was groomed, who pushed him in that direction to look up on the internet all these things. Who the hell knows? And you can't blame media, YouTube, internet, Twitter, any of that stuff. If somebody has a mental problem and they're going to look for hate, they're going to find it no matter where they go. And that's unfortunately a price you have to pay in a free society. And I don't mean to make it sound callous or mean, but you can't have it any other way than have a free society. This is the other side of the coin sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes to a free society. I wasn't going to cover this, but since the kid is from my hometown and I remember him from my store, I felt obligated to say something. My thoughts and prayers, of course, are with the people that were in critical condition and also with the families of the people that died. They weren't all black people, not that it matters. I don't know. I really don't know why these things happen. People are flawed, and some are flawed a lot more than others. And why wasn't this kid put under much serious probation or supervision after he threatened his fellow students in a graduation ceremony? Maybe those questions will never be answered. Who knows? But here we are so far. And what will happen is all the alphabet media will just pound on the fact that this kid was a white supremacist. And he was. But that's what they'll pound on. Not the shooting in California with the Asian man or the black-on-black crime over the weekend that shot 42 people, wounding 17, I believe, and killing over 20. You'll get crickets. And that's the way it is, folks. And the Democrats will use this crisis to drum up more hatred, more bitterness, more division. It's us against them. Okay. You're just throwing gas on a fire. If that's what you want to do to maintain control, then that's on you. But the average American, the vast majority of Americans know what the Democrats and the progressives and the Biden administration is doing is bullshit. But they have no agenda for this fall's election other than point fingers and scream racism when something bad happens. That's their entire agenda because they don't have one. Oh, gosh, we'll see how this turns out. I'm not optimistic. Until next time, goodbye and good luck.